Hello, hello, good morning. Good morning. Oh my goodness. Where's my head? Where is my head? Where's my head? Good evening. Good evening, everybody. I hope you're well. Thank you so much for joining me at this live. I hope everyone's well. I hope you're all okay. What's up? Nothing much. What's up with you? Hope you're well. How have you been, Ali? I've been quite well, actually. Thank you so much for asking. How are you? How have you been? I love these questions that you're asking me. It shows that you're really, using them, practicing them. Fantastic. Instead of just saying, how are you? You're using different ways. Very, very good. Very good. So lovely to see you. Lovely to have you. Thank you so much for joining. Happy belated International Women's Day to everybody. Happy belated International Women's Day. Wherever you are, I hope you managed to celebrate in some form, hopefully. Just a little celebration even. Yes, so we saw lovely, lovely celebrations all over the world, how women and men celebrate International Women's Day, which I thought was beautiful. It was lovely. We had some nice messages from, leading figures all over the world. So that was really nice. It's where the world comes together, to celebrate something nice. So that's good. That's good. Lovely. Right. And also, I believe today in the UK is the day that many, many people are reflecting about those horrible COVID days that we had. So some people unfortunately lost loved ones, which is very painful, and all of that we went through. I don't know, what you experienced, people who are watching me now, but hi everybody. But I remember that in the UK we had lockdowns. We had several lockdowns, didn't we? We had, was it 3 or 4 national lockdowns? And every Thursday night, I think it was, we'd all go out and we'd clap, for key workers and for the NHS and doctors and nurses. And, we lived in those very, very uncertain times quite a few years ago. And so today we're reflecting on those very difficult times, very difficult days that we had. And everything was so uncertain. We didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know, are we going to come out of this alive? We didn't know how long it was going to last. So it was very uncertain times. But of course, we came out the other side. Yeah. So, and we're still here. Absolutely. Okay. Someone says happy Ramadan. Yes. Excuse me. So if you are fasting and if you celebrate the month of Ramadan, happy Ramadan to you as well. Your accent is brilliant. Thank you. I don't think my accent's brilliant. I actually think it's quite boring with all the other accents that we have in the world. But that's very kind of you. Thank you. You're so amazing. You're so amazing. Thank you, Ali Raza. Could you tell me if you save these lives to YouTube, Bahar? Yes, I do. Hi, Bahar. Thanks for joining. I do. Every single week, every time that we're on YouTube, I record it on my phone and then I post it on YouTube and it lives on YouTube for good. Okay. استاد یکم فارسی هم صحبت کنید تا ماهایی که زبونمون ضعیفه متوجه بشیم. Okay. Yes, I'll try. Wonderful. How was your weekend so far, Setka? My weekend so far has been, it's been quite fruitful. It's been quite fruitful. Can someone tell me, what does it mean when someone says my day, my week, my weekend has been fruitful? What does that mean? Can someone tell me? I've used it before. My weekend has been fruitful. Does anybody know what it means? It's me. This teacher is not for people who are weak in English. Oh my goodness. Oh, don't say that. No. Don't say that. No, a teacher is for everybody. Yeah. Porbar, yes, is that right? Who did I have? Massa, Massa Islami 98. Porbar, thank you. Fruitful, useful, okay, full of fruit. Yes, mufid, useful. Yeah, very good. Okay, lovely. Yes, porbar, thank you. So that's how you would say it in Farsi. So if so, full of achievements, absolutely. Samar bakhsh, such a lovely, lovely, such lovely different versions that you're giving me. Yes, lovely. So yes, my weekend has been quite fruitful. I have done quite a lot of thinking about the courses that I want to create in the future. In fact, I'm not proud of this. Don't do this, you know, for you lovely people. Please don't do this. But I was awake this morning at around about 3 in the morning. I was awake and I couldn't go back to sleep. And so instead of just staring at the ceiling, which is really boring, I did a very naughty thing, and that was I went on YouTube. Okay, you're not supposed to do that, are you, in the middle of the night, because it keeps you awake. But I went on YouTube and I actually always watch and follow a person called Steve, excuse me, Steve, I can't remember his surname, but he hosts podcasts called Diary of a CEO. Diary of a CEO. I can't remember his surname. Is it Steve Bartlett, maybe? I'm not sure. Anyway, he usually interviews very influential people, and you get to listen to these very successful people's advice. Everybody has advice to share, and it's great to listen to other people's advice. It gives you an idea of what you're doing in the process, where you are, how to make yourself a bit better and improve. Maybe you're making mistakes. Maybe that person has also experienced your struggles and you want to find out how they overcame their struggles. So it's really useful for me anyway to listen to these. And from 3 till 5 this morning, I was watching the video, but it's also available on podcast as well. And it was just phenomenal. It was amazing, you know, listening to his guest speaker, who was talking about how he was very successful, and then suddenly overnight he lost everything. He went bankrupt, and how he had to pick himself up, idiom, how he had to pick himself up again and start from scratch. And he learned that life will throw us curveballs, curveball, that means difficulties. Life will always throw us curveballs, but it's also there to make us tough, to make us strong. Okay, if you want to teach somebody to be tough and strong, you can't let them lead a happy, very comfortable life, can you? Happy might not be the right adjective. You can't have them have a very comfortable, luxurious life, because that's not going to teach them how to persevere and how to be strong. If you want to teach someone patience, then you will not give them whatever they want the very first time they request it. So whenever you want to teach somebody these good traits, to be patient, to learn from their mistakes, to be strong, to be resilient, all these things, we need to experience some level of pain. We need to experience some level of difficulty to then test ourselves and see how we're able to come up with a plan to confront this difficulty and hopefully overcome it. It was a fantastic episode, and I was so excited and I was buzzing by the time it finished. I was so excited. Again, I couldn't go back to sleep. So if you see bags under my eyes, it's because I've been awake since 3 this morning. But it was a very, very good podcast that I listened to. So in response to somebody who says, how's your weekend been? It's been good. I started it very early. Yes, I've just seen Mahi. Hi Mahi, thanks for joining. Mahi is the lovely teacher who we work together as part of a team. And she takes on private students, so students who want to study privately. I don't teach privately anymore. Mahi takes all the students, and she is fantastic, phenomenal. There is also a form on my page, on the Instagram page. So if you go and look amongst the posts, you'll see the form if you're interested in private English lessons or even joining an English club, like a speaking club. Mahi is the person to go to. She's amazing. She's got so many plates that she juggles, and she's absolutely amazing. Yes, the lovely Mahi. Okay, Mahi Qasemi. Lovely. Very good. It's me. Did you say curve boat? No, curve ball. Curve ball. Curve ball. Life will throw us many curve balls, and that means life will throw us lots of difficulties. Life will put difficulties and barriers in our way to see, am I going to be really weak? Am I just going to sit home, throw in the towel and say, oh, I give up, it's too difficult? Is that going to be me? Or am I going to think, no, this is a problem and I'm not that weak. I've got a brain, I've got hands, I've got feet, I've got common sense. I'm going to fix this. I'm going to solve this, and I'm going to come out the other side very happy that I didn't actually give in, that I tried, you know, I persevered, I tried. Okay, first maybe 5-6 times I failed, but then the 7th time, yay, I cracked it, right? So that's what we mean by a curve ball. Ball, yes, Bahar 9289, ball, curve ball, yeah. Eli Nezal, could you share the full name of that person on YouTube? Yes, I can even share Mahi's lovely, obviously her name and her, it would be her Instagram profile. I will share it on a story once we finish this this episode, this session tonight, if that's okay. Could you write it down? Curveball. So Bahar 9289, curveball. Yes, curveball, ball. Could you share the YouTube address? Yes, absolutely. So I'm not going to type it here because whenever I start typing, for some reason, my whole screen goes haywire. So the YouTube address that I have is youtube.com, which is the same for everybody, youtube.com/ and then my name, Layla's English Lab, the name of my Instagram page, youtube.com/ Layla's English Lab, and it's all one word. I can story that as well. Will you please recommend podcasts to listen will help for IELTS? Right. So with IELTS, you want to listen to a mixture. I mean, I wouldn't call myself a professional of teaching IELTS. Gone are the days when I used to teach IELTS. I haven't taught IELTS for a good, I'd say 15 years now. I used to teach IELTS, TOEFL, all of these, the Cambridge certificates, all of them. But I stopped doing that. I'm more into everyday English now. If you want to improve your listening for IELTS, I'm sure there are lots of professionals here amongst us who can give you ideas as well. I would stay around the regions of, there's a great one, there's a great source, if I can remember it, National Geographic. They, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I heard this from somebody, that National Geographic, they actually work in partnership with Cambridge, right? So they might even be a Cambridge production. So anything that you can find from National Geographic, I would hold on to that. If you can find any TED Talks, podcasts, any reading material, anything from National Geographic, you're in good hands, because I believe a lot of the Cambridge exams, they actually come from material from National Geographic, which is really good. But with IELTS, really, IELTS, I mean, I know the writing and the reading and that kind of thing is more academic. With the speaking, you want to make sure that you also incorporate normal everyday idioms as well. I mean, you know, the question that they might ask you in IELTS, for example, describe a very good friend, describe the characteristics of a fantastic friend. Here, you don't want to sound like a robot, do you? You do want to incorporate just everyday, you know, phrases and stuff as well, I would assume. So I think a mixture of lots of things might help, not just one source. I hope that helps. You had a great weekend, Layla John, and I'm happy I understand almost 60% of your explanation. What level of English do you think I am at? This is Massa. If you understand around 60% of what I'm saying, I would say you are around intermediate. I'm actually not using too many difficult words right now because I need to gear my speaking appropriately to my audience, right? So if I'm talking to my mum or if I'm talking to another native English speaker, obviously I'm speaking much faster, I'm using tons more idioms, I'm using lots of phrases that we use in native English, but because I want my audience to understand what I'm talking about right now, I'm slowing down my pace, my speed of speech, and I'm also trying to use words and phrases that are more understandable to my audience. So you would be an intermediate level, I think. Yeah. How did you learn to read Farsi? Okay, is that what we're doing now? How did I learn to read Farsi? My father is Persian, as a lot of you may already know, and I'm so proud of it. When I was very, very young in the UK, I was still in nursery and, you know, primary school here in England. My father, quite rightly, believed that it's very good for us to learn Farsi from a very young age. So even though I was going to English school, my father would go to the, I think it was the Iranian consulate, if I'm not mistaken, or somewhere in London, and he would get Iranian textbooks and he would bring it home for me. And it was when myself and my mum together started learning Farsi. We kind of like helped each other because my mum didn't know Farsi either. So from very, very basic, you know, Baba Abdad, Baba Nandad, that's where we started. And so that's how I gradually started learning Farsi, just a little bit. And then later on, when I was in high school, I was very lucky in that all of us as a family, we were able to go and live in Iran just for a few years. Unfortunately, it wasn't too long, just for a few years. But that's when I really had to kick it up a gear. This is my idiom. Kick it up a gear. Gear manzur dande machine. I had to kick it up a gear. Kick it up a gear. I'm going to write all this in YouTube. So when I was in Iran, I really had to kick it up a gear. People were talking so fast in Iran. They were using words that I'd never heard of. Lots and lots of words and phrases that you don't find in Kitab-e-Kilas Avval, right? So I really, really had to pay attention to what people were saying. A lot of what people were saying, even kids my own age at school, I had no idea what people were talking about, but I just loved languages so much that I really paid attention. A lot of the time I would actually ask people, I'm sorry, what does that mean? Say it again, or, you know, give me a meaning or that kind of thing. And that's how I gradually learned. I was thrown in at the deep end in high school. I had to go to school like everybody else. And it was, I think part of it also was the love that I found in the Farsi language, right? I mean, it was ages ago when I was a teenager, obviously ages ago, but one thing I will never forget, I'll never forget this, I might have said this to some of you as well, that in one of our lessons, we were studying Adabiyat Farsi in the classroom. I can't remember what year this was, but it was in one of the Farsi books in high school that we had a poem. Excuse me. We had a poem and it was about this famous father and son, Rustam and Sohrab, right? This very, very long poem. It was quite a few pages. And if I wanted to read this poem off the page myself, I might as well be reading Japanese. I had no idea what it meant. So I didn't understand it at all, you know, the language of the poem. But we had a lovely, lovely teacher, a lovely Farsi teacher. Obviously, she was Iranian. And she sat and she kind of like analyzed the poem for us in the whole class, right? And by the end of it, my face was wringing wet. My face was absolutely wringing wet. The poem was so emotional. It was so powerful. And I thought to myself, if this is what the Farsi language is, and if this is what learning Farsi means, then, oh my God, I'm really going to try to learn more of this. Plus the fact that I was actually living in Iran at the time, and I could see the culture of the Iranian people. They're just so kind, so polite, you know. They always say قابلی نداره, which is really nice. They always say خواهش میکنم بفرمایید, and you know, really, really nice things that we don't have here. It was the culture that made me fall in love with Farsi. It was the poetry, obviously, the literature of it. It was the people. It was all these kind of things that made me fall head over heels in love with Farsi. And so even when I came back to the UK again, after I finished my high school, I still continued to not study, to read, you know, Farsi books as much as possible. I tried to get my hands on other Farsi books and magazines and, you know, newspapers, and go online, read whatever I could in Farsi. So that's where the love really came. That's where the strength came from. The question was, how did you learn to read? A lot of it was because I really liked it. I really, really liked it. And I only started reading things and subjects that I was really interested in, which is why I'm telling a lot of people here, if you want to learn English, if you can, go and start learning English regarding a subject that you're really passionate about, you really like very much. So if you're a mechanic, go and try learn English by reading, for example, magazines about cars, you know, if that's what you love. If you're really into cooking and baking and that kind of thing, you love it, and you want to learn English, go and get magazines which are about cooking and baking, because you love your job, you love your subject, at the same time you want to learn English. Why not combine the two and learn English to do with your subject, something that you're really passionate about? And that's, I think, how we learn. A lot of it has to come from the love and from emotion, and that's what pushes us to learn. I think that's what I think anyway. Please save this live. Yes, I'm saving it. Hello, people who've just joined. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah, but truly, Farsi, obviously we all know it's a very ancient culture. It goes back thousands of years. We know that. The language, the poetry is well known. It's first in the world. We all know that. There's no denying it. I mean, I know British people are very proud of Shakespeare. We're very proud of Charles Dickens and, you know, all of these stories that Shakespeare, Charles Dickens, and, you know, all the other poets that we've got in the English literature. None of them can hold a candle to the likes of Ferdowsi and Hafez and all of these greats. You know, everybody in the world knows about these people. So yeah, the way Shams, oh my God, Shams, the way these people look at life, the way they try and tell a story, and in every story there is an element of us to kind of try and make our lives better, learn from it, improve ourselves. It's fascinating. It's amazing. میشه لطفاً توی بایو یا هایلایت معرفی خود بنویسید. پدرتون ایرانی هستن و فارسی رو یاد گرفتید که هر دفعه این سوال رو از شما نپرسن. That's okay. I don't mind. Okay. Thank you for your clarification. You're perfect. Thank you very much. مادرشون انگلیسی هست و اینجا به دنیا آمده. Okay, thank you. Rumi is another one. Absolutely, yes. Okay, so with your permission, everybody, we're going to go to tonight's lesson, if that's okay. Do you like Iranian music? Absolutely. Iranian dance, Iranian music, Iranian food, Iranian people, everything. Everything Iranian. I love it. Very much. Right, let's go to tonight's lesson, if that's okay. Now, you might have been slightly confused when you saw the title of tonight's live, that the title is, Are You Sure? Are You Sure? You might think to yourselves, what's so difficult about this, Layla? Why do you want to talk about this? The reason why I thought of talking about this was because it was a lovely, lovely student who brought this to my attention. This lovely lady asked me a question saying, Layla, I think she said I work in a hair salon or somewhere. And she said somebody gave a tip to, for example, one of my colleagues. And one of my colleagues who's actually English said, are you sure? So for example, you give me a tip after I've provided some kind of service, and to you, I say, are you sure? And this lady who was asking me a question said, Layla, I think this is really rude. Why is it that British people, when you offer them something or give them something, you offer them something, they always say, are you sure? I think that's really rude. So why is it that they say this? And I thought that would be a great opportunity for me to explain a little bit about the British culture, okay? The reason why we say, are you sure, is not to be rude or anything like that. One reason is because of the whole politeness we have, the aspect that we try to be polite. So for instance, if you're kind enough to me and you want to say to me, Layla, we're both going the same way, so I'll drop you off at the train station. This is some kind of kindness you want to show to me, right? So let's say we've just both gone, you and I, we've just finished at the cinema, the theatre, wherever. We want to leave. And instead of you getting in your car and driving off and me calling a cab, you're very kindly offering not to take me all the way home because that's out of your way, but you want to say to me, Layla, we're both going the same way, the first part of our journey. So let me take you and I'll drop you off at the train station. That's very kind of you. You don't have to do that, but you've offered to do that for me. Now, the first thing I'm going to say, before saying thank you, oh my God, you're so kind, before all of this, I'm going to say, are you sure? Are you sure? And the reason why I say this is because we don't want to come across as somebody who's too grabby. Grabby, how can I say grabby in Farsi? How can I describe grabby? Somebody who, whenever you offer them something, they take it straight away, right? I don't know how you would explain this, how you would translate this in Farsi. Someone who's grabby. We don't want to come across as someone who's grabby. We want to show that we really appreciate, thank you, the kind offer. Hol, okay. Forsat talab, possibly. So, az khoda khaste, okay. Forsat talab, right. Grabby. So, if I offer something to you, okay, in the Iranian culture, I think this is from what I've learned, opidan, yeah. So if I offer something to you, usually you don't take it straight away, do you? You say, no, thank you. And then I have to offer it to you again, right? If you go to someone's house in Iran and they offer you, for example, a cup of tea or something, this is what I've seen. The very first time round, people say, no, thank you. And the host has to say, no, please. They have to insist, no, please take some. And then that's when people say, yes, okay. So in Iran, for example, people are not grabby, which is lovely, right? In the UK, we don't like to be grabby. We don't like it if somebody offers something straight away. We say, oh, yes, okay. We don't want to be like that, right? Hol, puru, it could be all of these. It could be all of these. I'm going to say something. اتفاقا در فرهنگ زابرانی, right? تعارف زیاد هست. Yeah. I want to say the word, but I don't want it to be rude. I just can't think of any other word to say instead of it. So I do apologize. I apologize. I don't know any other word. Kind of like gedobazi. I'm so sorry if that's really rude. We don't want to be like that. Okay. If someone offers us something, we don't want to come across as, yes, it's your responsibility to take me home. We don't want that. So we don't want to be too grabby. We just say, are you sure? Are you sure? And usually that person says yes, and then you take me, right? So it's just coming from a place of politeness, which is why we say it. Another reason why we say this is because we don't want to impose on somebody. We don't want to make you think that you have to do something for us. Right? That's not right. Let's say, for instance, we're all sitting together in a room, we're at the meeting, whatever, and I'm quite hungry. So with everybody's permission, I'm just going to take out a sandwich to nibble on the sandwich while we're working, while we're in a meeting. But let's say I bought a sandwich pack and let's say it's got 3 sandwiches in it. That's too much for me. So I'm going to say, right, people, I just want 1 or, for example, 1.5 of these sandwiches. Would anybody else like to have, you know, some of these sandwiches with me? And somebody will say, yeah, are you sure? Are you sure? So the reason why they say, are you sure, is because they don't want to come across as too grabby, kind of like gedabazi. They want to also give me that chance. I might want to change my mind. So that's also why they say, are you sure? So I'm going back to the example of this lady who asked me a question. She said, Layla, why is it that when people want to tip in the UK, the person who receives the tip says, are you sure? And usually if you receive a tip, you're not supposed to say, are you sure? So I don't know why that person said, are you sure? But usually we say, are you sure? It's a way of saying, I don't expect this from you. Are you sure you want to give it to me? Are you sure you want to offer it to me? Are you sure you're not going to change your mind? That's basically what it means. We say, are you sure? Okay, so that's the reasoning behind it. Saying, are you sure? It's not rude at all. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. I know that a lot of cultures don't have this in the West. We do, definitely. We just want to give the person a little bit of time in case they want to change their mind, you know. So در جواب چی باید بگیم؟ Let's say, let me give you a scenario. Let's say that you have come to my hair salon. I've cut your hair. You're really happy with it. You want to give me a tip. Thank you very much. I'm going to say, are you sure? And you can just say, yeah, absolutely. I'm really happy with, you know, my haircut. Or yes, I think it deserves a tip. It deserves a tip. It is the service. I think, yeah, you know, my haircut deserves a tip. Or I'm happy to, because I think the quality of work is really good. Something like this. Yeah. ماهی فرصت طلب مطلع فرصت بودن پرتوقع بودن. Thank you. All of these. Thank you, Mahi. It's me. Can we say no, I'm not sure? No. Why your accent is much better than the native ones? Fahime. That's very kind of you, Fahime. Thank you. I wouldn't say my accent is better than the natives. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm speaking a little bit slower, and possibly because I'm pronouncing words a little bit more clearer, maybe. Because like I said, if I start talking to, say, my mum or, you know, somebody else on the street who's native English, I'm obviously going to speak a little bit faster. But now I'm sitting in the role as a teacher. I need to make sure that my students understand what I'm saying, or else I'm just talking to myself, really. Yeah, which is one of the other things, one of the other aspects that, am I going to say disappoints me? It makes me upset a tiny bit when I see these other teachers. It doesn't matter what their nationality is, but when you see other teachers on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, wherever, they're trying to teach a language and they say something very quickly and then they go over it and that's it, they move on to the next thing. It's like they're not giving the opportunity for the student to digest what's just been said. they're not giving that opportunity to somebody who's never heard it before to think, listen a few times, try and repeat it, maybe analyze it a little bit for themselves, maybe think, okay, that's how we say it in English. How do we say it in my language? You know, you need to give time for people to digest new information. So I'm not sure some of the teachers, when they say something so quickly and then they move on to the next thing, I think they need to slow down just a little bit, because if you want someone to learn something, you need to say it nice and slow and clear so that they get what you're trying to say, I think. Almighty Nirvana. I totally understand it when you speak British, but when I watch a movie with British accent, it's kind of hard to understand sometimes. How can I improve that? That is because most probably you're listening to a movie with characters and actors of different accents. It could be because my accent right now is a London accent. It's not Mancunian, which is north. It's not Liverpudlian. It's not Geordie. It's not Scottish. You know, it's not another type of British accent. It's kind of like London accent, which is, I think, one of the easier accents to understand. How you can improve this, watch more. At the beginning, if you feel like, oh my God, I'm not getting any of this, I just don't know what they're saying, you might want to turn the subtitles on. And I'm going to suggest that you take your time with each film, okay? I'm going to suggest that you might want to watch the film, but not all of it in one go. Just watch it in chunks and then keep rewinding that chunk and watch it again and rewind it and watch it again to see what it is that these people are trying to say. Then the next time you watch the film, a lot of it is a bit more familiar to you. At least you know what the people are saying, and you're becoming more familiar with different accents as well. I understand you, teacher. I live in London. Very good, very good. How long does the live take? Now I join. Hi, Elnaz. We usually start at 6 in the evening, 6 UK time in the evening, which is not, at the minute, it's 9:30 p.m. in Iran. Usually that's when we start. لیلا جون چه فیلم رو پیشنهاد میکنید؟ I would suggest you watch a type of film that you like. I personally usually really like the old-fashioned English films, British films, like Jane Austen, and like the same period of time as Downton Abbey, you know. Very old-fashioned. I don't like these new programs that they show right now. I like the British films which are a little bit older, kind of like maybe even during the Victorian era, going back a couple of 100 years. But please watch whatever you enjoy. Okay, if I say to you, go sit down and watch all the Harry Potter films, you might not like Harry Potter. Just try and see what kind of a storyline, what kind of a film you enjoy, and watch that. That's what I would suggest. لیلا جون به جای نوش جان چی بگیم در انگلیسی؟ نوش جان is one of those things that I think in Farsi you can use it at different times, okay? I think, do correct me if I'm wrong, I think you can use نوش جان even before you start the meal, is that right? And if someone says, this is really nice, you can even use نوش جان in the middle of while you're eating. And once you've finished the meal, again, at the end of it, someone says, wow, that was really nice. Again, you can use نوش جان. So I think in Farsi, you can use نوش جان anywhere, beginning, middle, or end of the meal. In the Western culture, so in English, any English-speaking country, we don't have this any time of the meal. We'll have bon appetit, which is usually French. We say it right at the beginning before we start. We always like to use this French phrase because I think it's quite nice. Or very simple, we can say, I hope you like it. I hope you like it. In the middle of it, if someone says, oh, this is really nice, we say, I'm happy you like it. I'm glad you like it. And at the end of it, I'm happy you liked it. Very simple. Yeah, we don't have the lovely taruf that they have in Iran, basically. Bon appetit, yes. What else? Lovely, lovely. Okay, I think I've come to the end of my lesson for today. So I hope that made sense of what we talked about today for Are you sure? Are you sure? So next time, if you offer something to somebody, you offer to give someone a lift, you offer to, I don't know, halve your sandwich with someone, you offer to do something for them, give them your time, pay a bit of money, help them out in any way. Chances are, if that person is British, usually they will say to you, are you sure? That's not rude. That's just part of the British culture. And in response, you can say, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm not going to change my mind. Yes, I'm sure. Okay. Right. کتاب خودخوان برای IELTS چی پیشنهاد میکنید? For IELTS, I think it depends on what level your IELTS is at. There are certain books. Oh, I used to work from certain books. There was one called Vocabulary for IELTS, Grammar for IELTS. The Vocabulary for IELTS had kind of like a purpley cover, but I think that only takes you up to 6.5 or 7 IELTS. If you want higher, then I would suggest that you go for the tests. You've got so many series. I think they went up to 19 or 20 different books with past paper tests. You might want to practice those because those are a little bit higher in their level compared to the Vocabulary for IELTS, which is around 6.5 or 7. So it depends what level you're working towards. معادل خسته نباشید در انگلیسی. No, we don't really have that. Remember, I mean, that's one thing that I'm always constantly saying. A huge part of language is the culture. Okay, so if you want to teach an English person who's never been to Iran before, if you want to teach them the idea of خسته نباشید, you have to explain it for quite some time for them to get the idea, because we don't have this in the English culture. When I say English, I mean any English speaking country. We don't have it, right? The same as قابلی نداره. We don't have this in the English culture. So if you want to teach this, you need to explain it for quite a bit. The other way around, how do you say خسته نباشید in English? You don't. You just say to the person how much you enjoyed that session, you know, whatever it is that they did, their service or whatever. You just say that, you know, I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed it. That was really good. These are the things we say. Yeah. چطور میشه با شما آموزش دید? Okay. So there's a lovely, lovely lady who is already here as well in our group right now. Thank you for joining, by the way, Mahi. I know you're very busy. What I'm going to do once this session is over, which is in the next couple of minutes, I'm going to put a story with Mahi's profile name. So please contact her. She is a lovely, lovely teacher who takes on students to teach them privately, or if you're interested in taking part in a speaking club as a group, again, she is the person to go to. Okay. Right. Just only say good job. Yeah, you can say good job. That's more American, isn't it? Good job. That's very American. لیلا جون، آیا این لایف هایی که برگزار میکنید برنامه مشخصی داره؟ منظورم تایم و روز خاصی داره؟ Yes. For quite a few years now, is it 3 years, 5 years? I can't remember. I've been trying to have an Instagram live every Sunday. We started off at 7 o'clock in the evening, if you remember, but then we changed it. So now it's every Sunday as much as possible, 6 o'clock in the evening, UK time, which in Iran is going to be, currently it's going to be 9:30. Okay. I'm going to ask everybody one question right now. And I'm also going to put this question in a story after we finish, because I want your opinion. Lovely people, would you like us to have an Instagram live session next Sunday? It's the last Sunday before Nowruz, because I know lots of people are really busy, you know, I completely understand. So would you like to have an Instagram live session next Sunday? It's the last Sunday before Nowruz. Is that a yes or no? Just let me know. One person says yes, because I know a lot of you are busy, you know. Yes, please. Atif is saying yes, yes. Okay, Daniel is saying yes. Yeah. So here I haven't seen anybody in these few people who've said no. Absolutely. Yeah. So everyone's okay. Hi Layla, Ishram, I just came. Thanks for joining. Yes, yes. Okay, so everyone's still okay for having Instagram Live next week. Very good. Okay. So we'll have an Instagram Live session next week on Sunday, 16th of March. And then the week after, I think it's the 20th of March, which is Thursday. That's the big day, right? And then following that, the 23rd, which is the Sunday, I'll let you go because obviously you want to be celebrating, and I will see you after that. Yeah. So 23rd of March, which is going to be 3 days after Nowruz. That day we're not going to have Instagram Live. I'll give you some time to celebrate. It's obviously the Persian New Year, and I know you like to celebrate for 13 days. If I'm not sorry, my cat has just discovered my tripod again. I know that you like to celebrate for 13 days, so I think I'll give you some space, but I will definitely see you next week. Lovely. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. Thank you very much. I'm sorry if my camera's shaking. Enjoy the rest of your week. I know a lot of you are rushing around getting ready for Persian New Year. It's a very, very exciting time. Not necessarily just buying new things, even just, cleaning up the house and stuff is very exciting. I hope you all have a fantastic week ahead. Thank you so much again for joining. Thank you for helping me with the Farsi, making it interactive. I hope you found the session useful, and I will see you next Thursday. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Good night.